Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Cozy Christopher. It has been an amazing holiday season. I hope you all are off to a great, wonderful start to your year. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is the Xbox Series X and what my thoughts are now after having it for close to 2 months. Well, I guess over 2 months now, right? Came out November 13th or 12th, one of those days. But what my thoughts are, and I'll kind of get to this early on, is I actually like it a lot. I actually like it a lot. Just based on current circumstances where we're kind of in the middle of having next gen versus old gen gaming systems, and you still have some games that are coming out that were created completely to be on the PS4, Xbox One, and we're kind of sitting in the middle of, at the very beginning of, where there's not a lot of games out for the next generation consoles just due to the fact of COVID and people being remote and working from home and different things like that. So a lot of the gaming studios are behind from a development standpoint as far as like next generation gaming and what have you. But also just the fact that the next generation gaming systems came out during all of this time kind of put a wrench in everyone's development plans. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077 is a really big example of that, whereas that game was being developed for the longest time just on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and then the PC. And then right towards the end, you release the new consoles, and now they have this complete cluster of trying to get that game developed and to match the new systems that are out now as well. So a lot of development goes into place when new consoles or any consoles are being picked on what platforms they're going to be built on, whether it's different engines and different things like that. But that's a really big example of a game that was kind of finishing its development life cycle, if you will, on one generation, and then the next generation came out and they had to kind of make it work. So really weird stuff going on with that. But one of the biggest things that's kind of holding the systems back is that there are not very many exclusives right now. Xbox is notorious for not having the best exclusive, especially at launch. But PlayStation as well does not have a lot of exclusives that dropped at the beginning of the new cycle, if you will. Miles Morales, just put that out there, is an amazing game, and I'm going to do a review on that. I've been trying to wait for people to finish so that I'm not doing any spoilers or anything like that. But I know that a lot of people have not played that game yet. For one, the numbers are down, and there's a lot of variables to that. But I one of the main reasons I think is because people are waiting to play it on the new system if they're planning on buying the new system. That is a game that was developed and designed to play on the new system, and it is flawless and beautiful on the PlayStation 5. So more to come on that. I'll definitely be doing a review on that. I absolutely love that game and want to share that experience with you all. But let's jump into this. So today we're going to be talking about the Xbox Series X, how I feel about it after having it for 2 months, and also what some of my thoughts are now compared to the PlayStation 5. As you all know, I am a PlayStation advocate by far. Love PlayStation ecosystem and its exclusive games and their library. So my experience has been kind of interesting playing the Xbox Series X over this last 2 months, so to speak. So let's jump into the review. So I want to start this one off where I started the Xbox Series S review, which was basically Jedi Fallen Order. And as you can see on the Xbox Series X, it looks a lot better. I mean, you're going to see detail on the Xbox Series X that you did not see on the S, just completely. For one, this is a true 4K playing on the LG C10, whereas the Xbox Series S is not. It's a 1080p, or it can play at 1440p. But as you can see, all of the detail, just looking at the clothes that they have on, the uniforms, the color. Now again, this video game is older, so it's a hard one to compare if you don't know what you're looking at sometimes. But if you go back and watch the footage on the Xbox Series S review, you'll see the detail in the characters, if you will. Okay, so next let's talk about the form factor. I really like the vertical orientation of this one compared to the last generation or even PlayStation 5. Being able to sit this on carpet without worrying about it overheating has been excellent, but also, as you can see on the right side there, you can sit it horizontally as well, depending on what your furniture situation looks like or what have you. But I have really enjoyed this form factor compared to the PlayStation 5 or last gen. So one of the things you have to keep in mind when playing the Xbox Series X or comparing it to the PlayStation 5 is the controllers. Again, this one doesn't have all of the haptic feedback that the PlayStation 5 has. There is vibration, but you don't have that haptic feedback there that you would, where they can kind of control the triggers and things like that. But seriously, I played through the full game of Fallen Order on the Xbox Series X and absolutely loved it. It did a phenomenal job as far as processing the picture and different things like that. No hiccups whatsoever. Never had any crashes. Never had any funny issues like some of the ones that I've experienced with the PlayStation 5 so far. And again, I'll talk about that in my long-term review for the PlayStation 5. But the Xbox Series X really has been a joy to play, and I have the Xbox Series X, and I have the Xbox, and I have the Xbox One S as well. I haven't played the One S much since I purchased this. Maybe started it once. I brought the Xbox Series X in this room so you can kind of see it in comparison to the size. But I keep it in my office. The boys, my babies, my kids, they have their own Xbox Series X as well. And they've, again, one of the really big selling points was that Xbox Game Pass has so many games that you can play. So one of the things that I'm running into with my PlayStation 5 is that there are no games. There's games, right? But they're primarily PlayStation 4 games, and the PlayStation 5 doesn't have the same type of Xbox Game Pass setup. They do have the PlayStation Now, but those are older games. But they don't have the Xbox Game Pass where you can play current games, like this. This game is maybe a couple years old, but they have current games that are on Game Pass, as well as an upcoming game called The Median that's going to be free if you have Game Pass. So, that's a brand new game, right? $14.99 a month, and you're getting a brand new game to play. That was depicted, in the E3 when they showed the launch or what have you for the next-gen consoles. That was one of the games they talked about. So, if you want to think about the value of the Xbox Game Pass, it's a phenomenal value. But for the most part, again, like in this kind of downtime until we wait until we're actually in the next generation, if you will, because kind of right now we're in between it, where most of the games are coming out were developed for last gen, and they're making it compatible for next gen, which is the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 and Series S, but they're not designed for these systems, so we're not seeing the full capabilities. You have Miles Morales on the PlayStation 5 that was, created to be on the PlayStation 5. But other than that, right now we're kind of at a standstill for next generation games. And this again is back on my LG C10 in my office. Just for consistency, I want you all to see what the Xbox Series X looks like on a next generation television. And as you can see, obviously there's a big difference from the old television that I have in my bedroom sitting area compared to the LG C10, and kind of the picture that, for one, that an OLED creates versus old gen, LED technology. But again, I just want to drive the point home that this system plays phenomenally, and I have not had any issues. I have extremely enjoyed using this system. So much, in fact, that I'm getting ready to play a few more games, maybe Greedfall, maybe Black Desert. There's a couple games that are in the Game Pass for free, that I've downloaded and am going to be playing here pretty soon. And this is exactly why the Xbox Series X has been the better buy for me right now. After I finished Miles Morales, there wasn't very many PlayStation 5 games available to play. Lots of PlayStation 4, but unlike Xbox Series X with the Game Pass, you still have to buy a lot of them, whereas Xbox Game Pass is letting me play some of their biggest games for free. I mean, and not to mention that The Medium, which is a game that they talked about launching with the Xbox Series X, is also going to be free on the Game Pass. So it's really, really hard to beat that right now. Whereas I can kind of wait out this kind of in-between stage and play a lot of games that were, great on the Xbox One for free through Game Pass. And the space where the Xbox Series X just completely obliterated the PlayStation 5 so far is the ability to switch between games quickly and start where you left off, etc. This is something that has been understated. These games and being able to move in and out of them happen so fast, and starting where you left off happens almost instantaneously. Okay, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love chatting with you all down below in the comments. Ask any questions that you may have. I was extremely surprised to see how much I actually started to love the Xbox Series X. Now, I can't sit here and say that that I like it more than PlayStation. That's still not the case. However, I have a review coming out on the PlayStation 5, and some of the things that I've been dealing with in regards to the PlayStation 5 definitely has changed my experience a little bit. But I'm not quite sure that I'm ready to say that I am an Xbox gamer. To be determined based on what's going to happen with Bethesda. Really cool things coming up on the horizon for that. I think they have a new Indiana Jones game coming out. I think that was announced the other day. But in conclusion, just in our current state of things, Xbox Game Pass has been a lifesaver. That's just the end all be all about the two systems right now. PlayStation, their platform does not have that Xbox Game Pass feel. Whereas with the PlayStation 5, when I finished Miles Morales and some of the other games that came out day one, like I think it's Dirt or GRC or something like that. It's like a rally racing game. Not too much into that. Demon Souls, I'm gonna get it, but I haven't played it yet. Other than that, I mean, there wasn't Miles Morales was for me the best. The best day one launch game, that they could have came out with. But other than that, not much out there. So, I mean, Xbox Series X and being able to play a lot of current games that are out right now without paying for them, just only paying for my subscription has been everything. Because I literally have Grand Theft Auto 5 and 2K that I'm playing on PlayStation 5. And 2K, that's a whole nother bag of worms. Like that next gen version is horrible. The game itself is phenomenal, but the actual issues, bugs, things that you have to deal with on 2K, 21 next gen is freaking horrible. But it is still this same quality of 2K game. So that's not to say that the game is bad, but there's a lot of stuff that you deal with on a constant basis that makes that game almost a headache to play. And I literally will go a week without playing it just because I don't want to restart my game for the fourth time. But that's maybe I'll do a review on that. But there's enough stuff out there for you all to look into that. But in conclusion, please jump in the comments. Let's talk about this. Were you a PlayStation gamer? Are you an Xbox gamer? What are your thoughts? Have you bought one yet? Have you been able to get your hands on one yet? Do you need help getting your hands on one? I do have a video where I talked about different tools that I use to get all of my systems as well as my graphics cards and things like that. I'll link that above. But yeah, looking forward to hearing your comments on this one. I'm excited to hear if any of you have gotten either of these systems. Again, I have the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series S, the Xbox Series X, and the Asus ROG Strix 3090 graphics card. I'm gonna do a review on that card, but similar to the PlayStation 5, so we'll talk about that. But that's it for today. This is Cozy Christopher. I know it's 17 days in, wishing you all a happy new year. It was a busy off season for me, but I hope you all had a great holiday, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
How could you run me blind when I thought I was a navigator? I thought I could read the signs. You were sending up flares, red and gold.